Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre. This is Phoenix FM.
Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms. Word, Venom's like a moth.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We're doing live! Todd goes in, Todd goes out. Never miscommunication. It's over 9,000!
My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Don't face me, bro! It's a trap! I'm a firing believer! Time to do.
Hey, Charlie, wake up!
Oh God, oh man! Oh my God!
And we're live.
Woohoo! Hello, everyone. Welcome to the... What are we called now? I'm so confused. The Nerd to Know Basis Show, going out live on YouTube on Wednesday or possibly Saturday, depending on what time zone you're coming from. My name is Cian, and in alphabetical order, introduce yourself, guys.
The alphabet work. Bryn!
Hey, it's Brandon.
Hey, it's Dara. I had to think about that for a moment. I'm like, wait, who's first?
Bryn, you were going after me for hat sizes, and you can't do the alphabet.
To be fair, it's late in the day.
I did do
It's late in the
that.
day.
B is the first letter. Like B, C, D.
Bryn do alphabet good. Yes.
Me fail English.
That's
impossible.
Whoa.
Oh, how are you doing, Kev? You never got to introduce yourself.
And yes, it is. In shouting the word Bryn was my introduction. I'm doing fine.
Lovely. Well, usually we do a bit of beating around the bush, but I suspect that this topic that we advertise on our social media will get derailed pretty quickly if I don't jump into it pretty quickly.
No, it won't. It's like the main topic.
You are derailing me as we speak.
No, it's like the main topic. But before we get into that, I want to say that no, it's related. It's related. It's related. Come on, it's related.
Okay, I trust you.
I don't believe you for a second.
I want to go on before we go on to the awesome Zack Snyder, right? Which is, because that's what the show is. Hey, you stop. You stop now. No. We can't let it be derailed. So, I want to talk about the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, or boredom mixed with more boredom. I hated it so much. No, I hate. Okay.
Went off a 4-hour cut of Justice League.
So,
brave words.
They're different things, right? So, Cian, you liked this thing.
I loved it.
Okay, well, you're the only one out of the four of us. So.
Oh, okay. Let me make my My point was I thought it was fine.
Yeah, but it's like MCU.
Solid.
Oh, okay, no, hold on. Okay, I'm not going to get into it just yet because I want Cian to actually have his piece. So, Cian, the floor is yours.
Of you.
Well, it's either that or I talk over you, and I'm trying to be better.
Yeah,
Bryn is actually saying that I'm trying to be better. Isn't that right, Bryn?
Yeah. I'm actually allowed to speak, or are you going to talk?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to be better. That's the thing. Don't tempt me.
Look, I knew what show I was signing up to. I don't mind.
Okay.
Will I go?
Yeah, go.
Oh,
Go.
okay. I was waiting for the punchline there.
No punchline.
Okay. Well, funnily enough, it kind of comes from we talked about our apprehensive feelings on the last episode of WandaVision, and that kind of ties into what I like about this, which is that with WandaVision you had 8 episodes of Marvel you've never seen before, and then a 9th episode of big explosions and things that you very much have seen before. So I really liked how this first episode was slow paced, how it dug into like what these people do when they're not superheroing, even though there was a big fight scene in the start. Like how they're treated by the public, by the media. And I really liked how, especially with these two characters being soldiers, it kind of digs into how these people get left behind when there isn't a world to go saving. And I love that aspect of it. I love the fact that it dug into creepy, like insidious groups that kind of populate online and then kind of get radicalized and all that kind of stuff. I found it incredibly refreshing. And like the reviews up on Geek Ireland with my thoughts on it, but I really hope it keeps this kind of tone. I hope it isn't like one episode of this and then 5 episodes of Marvel bombast. So I was very impressed by how daring it was for especially a Disney product. Let loose, guys.
I suppose
Okay,
kind
so
of like
I'm going to just
like kind of
start if I was going to
to kind of get like I said, I am
Oh, no,
feeling
Kev,
very
go ahead. It's fine.
of the road. Sorry, Brent.
See,
I'm
this is
feeling
what
very
happened when I
middle of the
talk
road.
over people.
Skip.
So this is what happens. Sorry, go ahead.
I was very, very middle of the road on it because I think I just took it as a lot of setup.
Right.
So I'm not getting too big on it. Like I'm liking the fact that it is fleshing the characters out more. I'm feeling a little bit more towards them, but I'm waiting to see where it goes.
Oh, it's definitely got the Picard thing of like it feels like a piece of a big long movie. I know that kind of ties into Justice League. So, like Picard, we'll see whether that pays off. But for now, and we can't really go into the twist, unfortunately, but I thought it had a lot to say about how kind of the world treats its hero. Like, it's shocking that, like, in the logic of the Marvel Universe, and by extension...
There was a twist?
Oh, yeah.
What was the twist?
Well, I can't say.
Wait, in the first episode, there was a twist?
Oh, the cliffhanger.
Oh, the new Captain America.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Oh, that was the twist. I thought that was like the point. It's in the comics.
Yeah, but like it's the sting that exemplifies how little the world cares about like Falcon when he's not saving the world. You know, like he's got a 5-year. He can't get a mortgage because. Oh no, Bryn. He can't get a mortgage because he's been disappeared for 5 years for the goal of taking on Thanos.
Yeah, he should have went and done a career with money in it.
Yeah, but like Luke Cage dug into this too.
I'm joking.
No. I mean,
No,
I mean, it's like he shouldn't have to. Like, in all seriousness, he shouldn't have to be a brand.
Well, here's
in The Boys to survive in the world. But he saved.
That's the world, man. Like, to be fair,
but it shouldn't be, and that's what it's saying.
I disagree. I think the way they what I did find interesting about it was, I think the world of The Boys is more realistic. You know, it's like that's the way it would be. The Boys is exactly the way comic superheroes would be, or the Justice League, but they're basically gods, so that's why they're above it. But the Marvel superheroes being regular people, you mean to tell me that the Falcon wouldn't be a brand in the real world? To be like any.
Yeah,
of the
but
boys.
that's what the episode is about.
I think it's more that the.
Sorry, go, Brent.
I think it's more that the Falcon shouldn't be the brand,
but he would be.
It's like. No, of course it would be, but again, this is kind of where this is like. I mean, again, like when Marvel started off, the idea was that it's like superheroes as they would be, but you can already see how, like, as the world gets more increasingly hail corporate, that's becoming to diverge from like the path that it's on is beginning to diverge. The one
thing on that, well, before we get too into that, I just want to say one thing that hit me immediately off the bat on this. Rhodey shows up and isn't like, hey, Tony had some money, here's some money. You know, which I would have assumed, considering the fact that according to Marvel, like reality, so the accords they signed, they're government contractors. They work for government.
But wasn't the Falcon on the opposite side of the Accords? Though?
They still, but they're still. He's at the beginning of the show. We saw him doing a mission, so.
Well, he's in the army, but
he's still getting paid.
He became a contractor.
He became a contractor. So how much money is he getting paid here? It has to be a lot. It should be an awful lot, right? And it's just.
But I think it's more like.
But it's not. It's not enough of a consistent income to get a mortgage. Is the point that was made?
Well, that's fair
because he was only doing.
But the thing on that is
flipping out for 5 years.
But what I'm saying is, where is the? It feels like this is. It's the inconsistency that's opening up. It happened around Iron Man 3 as well. When was it Iron Man? Yeah, it was Iron Man 3 or Thor or something like that. Where it's like, where are the superheroes? Why aren't they showing up? And even in WandaVision, it's like, where's Doctor Strange? Is he not aware that this is going on?
Well, I mean, it's a big world. If you can assume that
Not
there are
really.
this many heroes, there's this many catastrophes going on at the same time.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
like the difference here is he literally ran into Rhodey, who I'd imagine would be running Tony's estate with Pepper, or his affairs in some
Yeah,
way.
but like
And
he
it's like,
shouldn't. There's like a million billion superheroes. They all shouldn't have to go begging Tony for a salary. The world should respect all the sacrifices they've given,
Okay,
and that
well-
ties into the Sokovia Accords as well. Like,
well, on that point in Justice League, the same thing happens. Literally Superman's mom's house gets taken away, and Batman comes in and buys the bank. So it's like, look, I just don't understand why they didn't work this out. You know, it's like you guys are supposed to be friends and you didn't help each other out. You know, it's wild. Like it makes no sense.
Considering how Tony worked tirelessly to put a bunch of them under house arrest, are they really that good friends? You know,
besides, we don't know what state Tony's company's been in. It's been 5 years. We don't know kind of what the lay of the land is yet. This is actually our first kind of, because WandaVision was so much a bottle thing. This is our first kind of exploration of the Marvel universe in a long, long time. Well, and we can get into the weeds of like how they should have money here, they should have money there. But the point that was made in the speech that he gave at the Shield ceremony was that it was about symbols and how they don't mean anything if they're someone good holding the symbol. And like the end of it, they're manipulating Captain America's legacy, presumably as some kind of jingoistic, like, crowd pleasing type agenda type thing. And that's very clearly what the show is.
You mean like he always was?
Well, not really, because
Dude, come on! He was. That's the whole point of the character. World War II.
Well, hang on a minute now. Hang on a minute.
Hang on.
No.
In the canon of the MCU, he literally did a stage show where he punched Hitler and an actor
to make war bonds money.
Yes,
get war bonds money.
In the movie,
that's the
he
point.
left that behind to go save people. Like in
but
the comics.
but hold on.
The reason. No, hang on. Hear me out.
Okay.
Now. The reason the character of U.S. Agent, who is this new Captain America, exists, is because Captain America resigned in protest over the Vietnam War, and they created this jingoistic character to take the vacuum while Captain America wasn't there. So I don't agree with this idea that Captain America is in and of itself a jingoistic like sort of thing, unless in the Ultimate Universe where it's fair game.
In MCU, absolutely, like the symbol of Captain America started off as a jingoistic.
Yes, that's fair.
Propaganda piece. You know, and like basically like in a way it's kind of like it came the symbol of Captain America came full circle by going back to being that again. You know, that would be the difference between this and like the comics, because you know in that case it was more like the physical comics themselves were the jingoistic propaganda pieces,
and even in the MCU itself, like again, like we're watching this from obviously we're watching this from their perspective. We're not watching this from the people's perspective. But if you go through the museum, and I think the museum is very interesting because it's like, oh wow, okay, what does this look like? If you actually look at the museum as well, they have all that jingoistic elements there, where it's like he's a symbol of America. And the thing about the MCU is it's still very militaristic in its approach to these things. You know, like they're literally, you know, as I said, working for the American government. So it doesn't really, I don't know.
True, but the whole point of the second Captain America film was he dismantled S.H.I.E.L.D. to protect personal freedom. It's not like they're beholden
to replace it with S.W.O.R.D.
Well, that happened while like in the absence of the Avengers. I don't think it's part of like Captain America's agenda as his legacy, like, you know.
No, well, you know, I don't know, like this is the problem when we start coming full circle with this. It's overriding itself in a certain way, where it's like Captain America's arc is great, and I do think Winter Soldier is a phenomenal movie. But these are some of the threads we're going to have to go with. And I appreciate what they're trying to do. It just feels very, very hollow. I think it's like Falcon isn't that interesting of a character to go this to do this. Either is Bucky, and I like Bucky, but I'm like, you need someone a little bit stronger. And they're also trying to set up armor wars as well, which is why there's so much interaction with Rhodey. But it's like, I don't know. It's probably too early to make a call on it, but. You know.
True, but what I like about it
is chapter 1, so
we have a comment from Munster Mutt. I agree, it's kind of overthrowing itself in a way. Yeah, that's the way I see it. To be fair, like although it is just the first episode, it didn't do anything for me. It didn't do anything for me at all.
Like my major issue with the first episode was more that like I didn't find it overly engaging, and I found it pretty forgettable days later.
Yeah.
Which I saw as like being like the major issues I had with it. Like, there's good content in it and there's good ideas in it, but if I'm not retaining it, that's a bit of an issue.
Like, this is my fear.
When it's only a couple of days after I've watched it.
This is my fear with it when we were talking about WandaVision and how great it was and how different it was. You know, you actually were it's a bunch of different things as well. If this had to come first, I think it would have been easier. I think it would have been better.
This was supposed to be first,
and
but lockdown ended up. I think WandaVision was more finished, and then again, this isn't verified. What I heard from a few outlets was that they had to reshoot some of Falcon and Winter Soldier because a viral disease was to be an ingredient. So, yeah, I think it's weird. WandaVision is so stylistically charged; it makes more sense to be a second one.
Yeah.
And like the novelty of it being a Marvel TV show for the Falcon and Winter Soldier would have carried it. So it is unfortunate in that respect.
Yeah. It also really doesn't help that it's being sandwiched between WandaVision, which was so unique in its kind of in its outlook, and Loki, which aside from like having a true blue fan favorite, looks a bit more off kilter, a bit more outer space.
Well,
so,
I mean,
like,
in the Marvel,
it seems that it's kind of getting it's now stuck kind of between two very unique, odd-looking shows, and it's kind of sitting in that, like it's sitting looking like a very just kind of like standard action military kind of thing, and it's got some kind of ideas, but it definitely doesn't have enough to hold its own compared to these two. So I think when it comes probably to the end of Loki, unless Falcon Winter Soldier does something very interesting in the next 5 episodes, I just think it's going to get swept wide under the rug.
Well, maybe, but like I think in Marvel, it can't be all Guardians of the Galaxies and Thor Ragnarok. You need to have that variety of tone, otherwise it all meshes together and just becomes too sugary. Do you know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing with this one, right? I think all the points that you made are correct with if coming first. It's just this is just like you've been handed this great drink or whatever, and now someone's just handing you some dishwater, and you're like, I've already.
I think that's even a bit unfair. I would still say like it's like going from having like a delicious, unique drink to going, here's some room temperature water. You know?
Okay,
well, look,
that's fair.
A good meal would be ruined by having your dessert first.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. And I maybe you'll get better, maybe they have more to say, but a lot of this just rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm like, okay, this has been done, but been done better. Like the boys the first season does this so much better, you know, and that's the problem.
I think they're doing different things though.
They are, but it's still kind of questioning what the real world perspective of
the Deep was not denied a bank loan, so
the Deep is a brand. He doesn't need to take loans out. They have a corporation that runs it. You know what I mean? It's like, here's the biggest failure with the MCU: their PR person should be fired because they need.
We're talking about it. They're doing something.
No. I mean the actual in universe.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
The people who are actually running. Yeah, like the Avengers. Whoever's running that PR department. Holy cow! Fired because you guys suck. It's like no way. There's no way. Look, okay, right. We care in Ireland. We care about the royals.
Do we?
Well, a lot of people do. I don't. Personally, I don't. But a lot of people do. Imagine if superheroes were real, man. Everybody would want to know about them all the time. Are you for real? Come on. Like,
we love celebrities. Like, you know, they'd all be their own little kind of things. Like,
exactly.
It would. Oh no, it'd be branded and corporatized immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, no, of course.
Like, it just that's the disconnect. It's like you mean to tell me that they're like even your man is fangirling out. And it's like, you wouldn't give... Yes, you would. Yes, you totally would, to get a picture or whatever, you know.
But this is the question, because we may be jumping the gun a bit. How does the world feel about superheroes if it's all connected into Thanos and all the stuff that went down?
Maybe, yeah.
Because you've had 5 or 6 years of the Sokovia Accords and all that kind of bad press, you know?
Well, again, people still like the royals in Ireland, and they oppressed us for 800 years.
Well, I can't argue that.
So it's like, come on, like, people get over it.
This is the first time in 30 years I've ever heard someone actually espouse that opinion about people in Ireland. So I don't know what to tell you, dude.
I wouldn't say it's a majority. People in I'll say as much as people in Ireland definitely do like the royals.
Yeah.
I wouldn't cast that a sweeping statement over that as a population as a whole.
Yeah,
no, fair.
But radios across the world turned off there.
But what I'm saying is, no matter what happens, celebrity. Actually, there's a great show. There's a great movie which you should watch on this. It's about celebrity. It's called Antiviral. It's on Shudder if you guys have Shudder, and it's literally about this concept of celebrity. Now, we're in Ireland. We're strange where we don't really care about Irish celebrities, but we're still obsessed with celebrity in some way, and that's taken to the nth degree here with Antiviral, where they literally will buy the diseases of celebrities and inject themselves with it. So just say like Christian Bale has a cold, you're able to buy Christian Bale's cold and inject yourself with it.
Oh, I see. Right. Literally the very specific strain.
Literally the actual strain. And it's like in the world, like the meat that exists, it's genetic material of a famous celebrity. So you're eating the celebrity. It's a wild kind of concept. But you know what?
Of Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, exactly. Rack of
Rambo.
Rack of Rambo. Yeah, exactly.
Stallone. To run it full circle and eat a slice of army hammer.
But you see, that's what I mean. I think so some people are super into celebrities. And I can see that kind of happening, at its nth degree when it's commercialized to such a point where you can literally eat the person, which is weird. And there's actually some good things about that movie where they're like, "Isn't this cannibalism?" And then your man's like, "Yeah, kind of," or whatever. And you just leave it hanging. So it's actually really worth watching. If you haven't seen Antiviral, I really would recommend it. It's a really good movie. But look, with superheroes and stuff, we'll wait and see. But I would just say they'd be the biggest celebrities in the world. Like the minute we get a superhuman, good point actually that was brought up, and I think Katie will appreciate it. Jeff Bezos has more money now than Batman and Iron Man, and we don't have either of those things. What's going on? What are you doing, man? Come on, invest in it.
I know there was like a Batman who was going after like scary clowns. In America somewhere.
No, but like a real Batman, a real Iron Man, because they're just rich people with brains. Yeah. It's like, what's going on? I think Elon Musk could do it. I'm holding out for Elon Musk.
I'm slightly worried he's going to do it.
No, he's definitely skewing more Lex Luthor. That's not...
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fair. But look,
that's still everybody loves power armor though. Like,
and people loved Lex until they didn't. Yeah. So
yeah, and people loved Elon Musk until he didn't.
Yeah. To be fair, that's a point too.
This could still be the Red Sun universe where everyone loves Lex Luthor. Nothing bad happens during Lex Luthor's lifetime. So,
Oh, that's a deep cut right there. But I'm going to use that as my point to go over. Rock of Ages. We nearly have it. Yeah. Thanks to Zack Snyder, and that's the whole reason why I want Justice League 2 for Rock of Ages.
So I haven't seen this. What's the big deal with the extended cut now?
Okay, so who has seen it?
Yo.
Okay. So
I don't have 4 hours left to see a film, extended version of a film that I didn't like the first time. So
it is fair enough that the two people here with children have not watched the 4.5-hour superhero movie.
To be fair, I watched it.
There's 4-hour compilations of In the Night Garden, Bryn. I'm just saying.
See, what I'm saying is watch it in 2 seasons. Watch it in 2 sittings.
That's actually now.
That's the way to watch it.
While I don't think it's actually edited very well to accommodate it, the movie is split into kind of act parts.
Yeah, it's like a DVD kind of chapter selection.
So there are parts where it'll kind of fade to black, go to part 2, and you can probably cut it there.
Yeah.
I actually did think about it as I was watching it, and I think that it is paced terribly if you cut it up that way.
Oh, like the Lord of the Rings extended ones, where
kinda, yeah,
that kind of thing.
But there is a good natural end point around the 2-hour mark after. Okay, so we won't get it. We're gonna get into spoilers. So if you guys haven't seen it, definitely watch it anyway. But we have to get into spoilers because it's a completely different movie. But it's still kind of the main beats of the 2017 one happen.
Well, before we get into spoilers, can I just ask?
Yeah.
Is it different enough
Oh
to
yeah.
seek out.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's like it's a
Yes.
totally different. It's a total like the same beats happen, but it's a totally different movie.
One of the things, one of the reviews I saw was from Mark Kermode, who the main complaint he had was that it's a bloated film. Would that be a fair way to describe it?
I would say it's a 4-hour film. That's always going to be bloated, and that's what, like, for example,
a 4-hour Zack Snyder film.
Oh no, that's not fair. For example, 2001: A Space Odyssey, we all agree is amazing. I had to watch that in 3 sittings. Sometimes you just have to watch. You can't watch a movie in one go, no matter how good it is, because it's a long ass time. You're just sitting there for 4 hours. Now, what I will say is it's bloated, yeah, but you don't feel it. Like the 2 hours that I watched, you really don't feel it. You know, you're just watching. You're like, this is actually great. So the pacing isn't bad. It's just it could be trimmed here and there. You could cut out about 15 minutes easy.
I think my first kind of biggest complaint before we really get into the spoilers in terms of just the making of the film as a whole, there is a truly excessive use, and this is excessive for Zack Snyder of slow-mo.
Yeah.
And if you trim down that slow-mo, you genuinely could shave a half an hour off this movie.
To be fair, the slow-mo at certain points is really good.
Some points is good.
But
some points,
yeah,
is not.
like
I have heard about the hot dog thing. Yeah.
No, the hot dog thing is actually really cool, man. It's just like a Quicksilver thing. It didn't have Evan Peters, so I was sad. But it was still okay.
Is that just a perpetual thing with all the media you interact with now?
No, well, if it has, I don't know. If it has somebody running like Quicksilver, it should just be Evan Peters, right?
Just put his face on,
and you're just good.
If you hit a certain amount of speed, you just become Evan Peters until you slow down again.
Absolutely. We're ridiculous.
I just love this idea of the Flash run, when he runs and does like that blurry face thing he does to anonymize his face.
Yeah,
it just becomes Evan Peters.
That would be cool.
So we're arresting you for speed crimes. What, me, Evan Peters? Yes.
Yes. No, but the bit where I found ridiculous with the slow-mo was, and also just how often it happened, how many shirts Aquaman went through. And my dad, at one point, my dad was like, he's going to have no clothes left if he keeps taking his shirt off. Because literally it's just off slow-mo. It's like, okay, this is the 5th time that's happened. Where is he getting these clothes from? Because he just takes them off and that's it. But I did enjoy how much, for one, I found it as a much more enjoyable experience. To actually just watch the whole show, the whole movie as a thing. It filled up a lot of the plot holes. It was actually quite light as well. It wasn't dark and dour like Batman vs Superman. I've
heard that, yeah.
It actually is quite just a good movie. Like it's a fun. It's not fun, but it's a nice little romp, And it actually has the most accurate depiction of the Justice League outside of the animated series, which is not fair to compare it against, but I'm going to do it anyway. There's a bit where they're just hanging out, and you're like, this feels really, really real. And like they hang out with Alfred and you're like, oh my god, like why didn't you just do this 3 years ago? And that's what kind of annoyed me throughout the whole movie. I'm like, this should have just been released 3 years ago and people would have loved it. It's not the best superhero movie ever made because it's 4 hours. If it had been in 2 parts or even 3 parts for the next one, I think people would have said this trilogy is amazing.
To originally do this where it was split into
yes,
more parts.
It was. To have 2
yeah.
Justice League movies 1 year after the other. Yeah.
And
but to go back after Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman, like the atmosphere in the room around anything Zack Snyder was incredibly toxic.
Well, here's the
and it is somewhat self-inflicted to some degree.
I wouldn't say so. I would say the biggest problem with this, in one sense you are right. I would also, but when you watch even the director's cut of Batman v Superman, WB hack his movies to bits, and the bits they take out really make all the rest of it come together. Like Batman v Superman is not a brilliant movie, but in the director's cut, Ben Affleck is probably the best Batman, and in Justice League he really is Batman in this. But in the movie, you're like, what? In the theatrical cut, you're like, this is a joke. This is just not good.
Ironically, for Batman v Superman, it was that first hour with him investigating everything that sets up Justice League that I would have cut completely, because it was just like, this actually doesn't even contribute to that film.
No.
you know, because it's like, oh, you're getting to the point where Lex Luthor's bad. Oh no, who would have thought?
But you know, it's just one of those kind of things where I'm glad we got to see it. HBO Max have said they're not like there's some kind of deal they're going to do, but HBO Max have done the opposite of Marvel and said all our movies are going to go directly to the cinema. We're not going to have them on HBO Max, so that's good for theaters, I suppose. But I don't know. I'm more on the, if you're a Justice League fan, you're gonna love the movie. If you're a Zack Snyder fan, you're gonna love it. If you're neither one of those things, you're just not gonna like it. If you don't like Zack Snyder's films, you're not gonna like it. If you don't like Justice League, you're really not gonna like it. But
what if you're just like lukewarm on
if you're lukewarm
on Zack Snyder?
That's where I was going. If you're just kind of curious or lukewarm about it, my advice would be split it into 2 or 3, and come back to it. Watch it like week to week, and kind of do it that way instead of just binging it, because you'll everything that happens in it will kind of just sit with you better, you know. Like there's some really, really good visual scenes in it. We got a real life Darkseid. That's I never thought that would happen ever, like ever, and it's kind of sad because the boom that was around Endgame and Infinity War, Zack kind of got there first, and that's what I was just like, oh man.
It's but I mean,
that's too early.
They got there with no build.
They got there but they still got there, and you're like, it's actually does come together. But there was no build, there was no faith in it, and it was just like, okay, we got to cut this and pump out some crap, you know. And like, it's all there, and it's sad in a way, but I'm glad he got to tell the movie he wanted to tell.
In saying that, I definitely liked how the movie. It didn't seem like it used Darkseid as the final, as the big bad of this movie. Because this definitely felt like setting up Darkseid and then using Darkseid as a very good motivator for Steppenwolf, which then made Steppenwolf much more engaging in this version.
Absolutely.
So like the way Thanos was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, just kind of in the background, that kind of thing. Like,
yeah, well, it does that, but also like Steppenwolf in the Marvelized version, he's just evil for the sake of it.
Yeah.
In this
Which is a shame, because it's Kieran Hines, and you know, local talent. He's class. Like,
yeah,
you know.
but in the Snyder Cut, he has betrayed Darkseid and he's trying to get home. And that's the whole reason why he's there. He's like, look, can I come home now? And he's like, no, you got to conquer 1,000 more worlds.
So then, like Ronin or Starscream, that kind of antagonistic villains. Like,
literally, yeah. And you're kind of like, okay, this makes way more sense. But what's also interesting is it sets up, you know, Rock of Ages. And if anyone hasn't read Rock of Ages, pick this up. This is really good, right? JLA 10 to 15. It's probably the best Justice League book you'll read.
Give me a flavor of it. What's Rock of Ages?
Well, Grant Morrison wrote it, so you're already in for you're in for a good time. Basically, what happens is Darkseid takes over the world, and it picks up like 15 years afterwards, and it's time travel and all that kind of stuff. But it's just a really, really good story, and it's one of the best Batman stories. Batman was in a concentration camp, and he escaped, and they're trying to figure out how to beat Darkseid, literally from the point when most of the Justice League are dead. There's a good line in about Martian Manhunter, where the Sad traps Martian Manhunter and tortures him to the point that the energy he produces lights Las Vegas for a year. You're like, oh, that's so dark. You know, it's just like, it's such a phenomenal story. And that's what Zack Snyder's trying to do with this futuristic injustice kind of thing. And that alone has my interest peaked on it. But
they did kind of set that up with the Dream, didn't they?
They did.
Batman vs Superman, yeah.
They did, but they go into it in way more detail at the end of this movie. Spoilers, obviously, but you know, at the end of it, it's a dream again when Batman is talking to the Joker, and you kind of see what that future looks like, and basically.
Oh, so we get to see Ben Affleck Batman and the Jared Leto Joker together, do we?
Yeah, they have a really good scene together. Actually,
that was a trick they missed before. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, on one hand, I'm sad that we're not going to get any more of it, but I don't know. I think we could.
I imagine, because I remember being handed at the Comic-Con we were at, actually, you and me and Bryn, like, you know, it's
in the before times.
They were handing out flyers for the extended, like, release the cut, and like I imagine people who've been begging for that for years I mean, Kev, I'm sure you made a good point on the editing, but like, I mean, they must feel vindicated to have a cut this long, like, you know.
Oh yeah, no, like I can only imagine like that the people that wanted this are just reveling in that catharsis now. Like they have been loud, they have been out about it, and they got what they wanted.
Yeah. You know what I would say is the biggest failure of this whole thing. It isn't with Zack Snyder. It isn't anyone involved. It's Warner Brothers. Just not able to sit there and just let it happen. Whatever we might say about the MCU being kind of meh or whatever, at least it's still following a vision, and they never kind of gave up on that vision. And that's why when it's good, it's incredible, and why when it's kind of poor, it's still very watchable, and people.
And you still trust it, like,
and you still trust it. Yeah, there's none of that with the Warner Brothers stuff. It's just kind of like, oh, quick panic change. Oh, quick panic change again.
Like,
you know,
it's very like it strikes me as being very similar. There being a very similar attitude towards it, and what Disney have done with Star Wars.
Ding,
Absolutely.
ding, 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 ding. We've had our Star Wars reference.
Hey, we're 37 minutes in. That's not bad.
Yeah,
that's
a record.
Best. Sorry, please go on, Brent.
Because the point I'm going to make here is that, like, with like the way people now talk about Filoni and Filoni and
Jon Favreau.
Favreau running the Star Wars shows is, to my mind, is so reminiscent of Bruce Timm and Andrea Romano and Paul Dini running the DC animated stuff. Because like between the animated series stuff from Batman, Superman, Justice League, to the insane run of really, really top quality films that came out in the early 2010s. Like, I mean, there was a legitimate conversation around going, why aren't these people doing, like, running the live action films? And
well, I mean, if I kind of had to speculate, I think it's that Marvel are kind of clever enough to take, I mean, they always make money, but I think they're clever enough to kind of take a loss here and there if it serves, like, I mean, who was begging for like an Ant-Man and the Wasp, or who was begging for a Guardians of the Galaxy, really, before that?
Yeah,
but like, kind of with Warner Brothers, each one has to be the biggest hit, and there isn't really a sort of plan for this will be big, this will be this. Like, you know, it's all like, I mean, look at the numbers Suicide Squad did, but they didn't kind of continue that momentum.
You got to remember that, like, Warner Brothers were late to the party. Marvel had set up and delivered a crossover.
They weren't, though, because Green Lantern, but they just scrapped it.
See, I think Green Lantern was still the part where nobody was really trying to make a universe.
Yes, fair.
It's Disney and Marvel had show. Sorry, Brent.
Sorry, you go.
It's the Disney and Marvel had shown that they can do this and that they can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, look, it was transparent that Warner Brothers are trying to just cash this in with the equal to opposite of it.
Yes.
I was going to say was that you know, I don't really accept the idea that, like, Warner Brothers are late to the party when they've had the rights to these characters for decades. Like, they could have done this stuff any time before when they did
I just don't think Warner Brothers understood what they had. And look, to be fair, I'd say most people, this is the point when most people are going to turn the radio off. Most people don't understand what DC is. Like, your average person does not understand what DC is compared to Marvel. Marvel is a linear, up until, like, 4 or 5 years ago, it's a linear timeline. Everything that happened in the same continuity. DC isn't like that. DC has a world where Superman's black, a world where Superman's a commie, a world where Superman's a Nazi,
where Superman's Mexican,
where he's Mexican, the one where he's Batman. You know what I mean? And they're all happening at the same time. So they can have all these different stories, right? However, in Marvel, that can't happen without actually changing the status quo, which is what we're going to see with the multiverse when it does come in. But with DC, they can kind of do whatever they want, and that's kind of what they're setting up now. But what they should have had is, and they had no one to actually do it, to be like, okay, well, we have Batman from 1989. Let's just see what he's doing now. We have, that kind of thing. And now that's what they're kind of starting to do. So with this Justice League kind of thing, the plan is to like have this as its own thing, and then if they want to go back to it, they can go back to it. Like they popped in like $80 million into this after it was finished, so there already is a willingness to kind of spend in it. But there was no one who really, like, let's put it this way, lads. Like, what, 20 years ago, if you had said, "Oh, comic book movies are going to be massive," people would have been like, Blade.
Don't give me hope.
Yeah, no, not even that. It's like Blade was good, but most people didn't even know Blade was a comic.
Yeah, and you touch on a good point there.
X-Men, yeah, X-Men did, yeah.
But that 2001 though.
But that was the first one, really, to do it. That and Spider-Man. And like,
let's be fair to Warner Brothers.
Spider-Man 1 wasn't even out yet. Spider-Man 1 came out 2002.
Yeah,
so
because like I mean, the Dark Knight franchise from the mid 2000s to 2012 was the biggest like comic book franchise in cinema for a long time. Dark Knight, the second Batman film, comes out the same year as Iron Man, and then the third one comes out the same year as the Avengers. So if we were to time travel, this conversation would feel very, very different. So it's not completely fair to say that Warner Brothers were napping either. Like,
this conversation couldn't have happened, Keen. Like in reality, like, because when Iron Man came out, I remember when Iron Man came out, I broke my hand actually going to see it the second time. As a by the by, it wasn't related. It was a by the by.
But so happy you punched a pole.
But I went to go see Iron Man and I broke my hand later on that day. And I remember when it came out and it was like, oh, that's cool, that's fun. But everyone was still excited about The Dark Knight. They're like, oh, Dark Knight is where it's at. So it wasn't until Marvel were like, oh wait, we can actually kind of connect these together, and it wasn't until the Avengers came out where like, this actually works. Like, people kind of like, even though when you watch the Avengers now, it kind of looks like a TV movie. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it feels like a TV movie. But remember how important that movie was, and I'll let you come in there now, Kevin, in a second.
With your excellent fidget spinner.
When that movie was released, that was game changing. If Warner Brothers should have really been like, oh, we can do this now, and that's when they should have done it, but they couldn't. They just didn't know how. Kev, what do you want to say?
Well, no, just because just kind of funny to say that. Like, I rewatched, or my partner rewatched Avengers. Now, sat in and watched part of it. I was watching it, like, my brain was in two parts. I'm like, oh, this is a bit naff now, considering all I've seen them do for it. And then I was like, but I remember when that came out, and the energy around that movie was just so palpable. Yeah, like this was monstrous,
because it was never supposed to happen ever.
No, but I remember, like, that was the thing that was great when that movie came out, was that people were like, how are these characters all going to share screen time?
Yeah.
And then I went, oh yeah, they can share screen time because one of them had to get recast.
Because Bryn,
because that one guy goes too big to be around other actors.
But Bryn, remember, that was the kind of concept where one hero at a time, because that every movie has to be the biggest movie. We went from the way Warner Brothers would do movies to the way Marvel do movies, and the way Marvel do movies where you can have this interwoven storyline open the door. Now, Zack Snyder, to be fair, he had done 300 in 2006, 2007, and then he did Watchmen in about 2010. So he actually kind of figured this out as well. And Watchmen, if you haven't seen it, I think it's actually better than the comic, to be honest with you. Okay, why not? Why isn't it? Why isn't it? Why isn't it? Why isn't it?
I'm hanging up the stream.
Why isn't it? Why isn't it?
It doesn't have the details from. It doesn't have critical details from the books that make it a much more lived-in experience.
I'm not going to hold that against.
Also, the ending
I'm not going to
really
agree with
point.
you.
All right, hold on.
That's also
the 4-hour Watchmen.
It still misses the point.
How?
Dr. Manhattan is the bad guy when he never was in the book. And that's a really pretty important detail.
I don't know. I think the Dr. Manhattan nuke thing makes way more sense than the big.
Not really though, because like the entire thing of like the thing of the book is that an outsider just gave away the end of Watchmen. Yeah, an outside alien force is the only thing that could clear the divide between the
spoilers for a 40-year-old book. Yeah.
Look, if you're wrecking Captain America, I'm wrecking this. Fair. So I mean, now I don't think any film could have done it. And to be fair, Tim Burton had the rights to Watchmen for a while, and he admitted, he went, this is unmakeable. And the fact that Zack Snyder did as well as it does deserve credit. But like, and he clearly loves the material. But equally, I will say, and I think this is what Brim was getting onto, was that I don't think he gets the point of the book, because the whole point of the book was like, when there's violence, it's quick and it's nasty. Where there's nudity, it's very plain.
Alan Moore.
And he adds slow-mo and stuff to it. So he's trying to have it both ways, where he's trying to have the glossy superhero-ness in a setting which condemns superheroes. And I don't think it quite sticks that dichotomy, you know?
I can understand that. I can understand that too, yeah. Sorry, Kevin.
It really just kind of it falls into the base thing I always feel about Zack Snyder is that I think he's a very good filmmaker and cinematographer, but just not he needs a writer.
Yeah,
just not David Goyer.
Yeah,
just not David Goyer.
Yeah,
just not David Goyer.
David Goyer is weird. He's as good as his director. So like Blade 2, great.
Yeah,
like, you know.
But he has
Dark Knight, great.
he has
Blade
way
2,
more. He has way more flops than hits at this point. David Goyer is like, you know, when I see him, I'm like, oh, we're rolling the dice. What are we gonna get today? You know. It's really like the best or the absolute drizzling, and I don't know what it is. But
to be a fly on the wall with his writing sessions with Christopher Nolan's brother, I'd love to see what that's like.
Oh man,
for the Dark Knight film.
I was going to make jokes, but I can't because we're on the radio at like 5 o'clock on a Saturday. So
if you come to us at 57 minutes into this stream, what's it Troy McClure says? It gets a little blue.
It's a little blue after dark.
Like what I always I give Snyder credit for when it comes to Watchmen is that he basically had like, I think, like 2 or 3 different screenplays to work from, and he managed like to kind of like take the bits that were like the best ideas from each one of them and throw them into a film together.
What I would
like,
say,
I still think that like I'd give it like the same courtesy I'd give to the Lord of the Rings films, which is that like they're the best possible adaptation you could
I
do
agree.
of
That you took the word.
material.
Yeah, you
That's
took
fair.
the word. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I would still say that like I would still say that like there's very critical areas that make Watchmen make the book Watchmen better, that are just completely either misunderstood or ignored in the film. And some of it, to the filmmaker's credit, is stuff that can't be filmable. There's entire excerpts taken from a fictitious autobiography. There's no way to do that in film. It's just like not possible.
There's a reason why Watchmen is one of the pinnacle hallmarks of comics as a genre.
Yeah.
Put it this way,
but what
I
mean,
there's a
like,
reason why it's the only comic book in Time Magazine's 100 best novels of all time.
But it's like, it's the problem of adaptation. You know, this has always been, no matter what you're adapting, you're always going to either, like in college actually, they have a whole module on the classics kind of stuff where, you know, you kind of get the essence of it, or you do a direct translation, and sometimes a direct translation is not always the best. Because it just, you know, sometimes the essence of it is better. And I think Zach, you know, for 300, for example, the comic sucks ass. The movies, while not accurate, it's pretty good. It's a good watch.
The essence is there, though.
The essence is there. You know, the comic is not good. The comic is not good. You know, it really is.
It's probably like one of the reasons I love the sequel series. Who David Lynch? Was that David Lynch or Lindelof? Oh my God! Why is that escaping my brain? The guy who did the sequel, what?
Lindelof.
Lindelof. I completely like that.
Lynch. I'm like, David Lynch did what?
I
was like, I need to see this.
That'd be amazing.
That is a brain soup on Lindelof. Like that's like Lindelof's Watchmen. It's such a it's obviously a sequel. It's a sequel to a comic.
Yeah.
And it's just a wild spin-off, but it just gets the messages and the feelings of the comic by just doing something completely different.
Well, actually, to kind of jump off Kev's point there, I think it's interesting to contrast Watchmen with the V for Vendetta movie adaptation, because that's a movie which I quite like, because it doesn't have the time to do. V for Vendetta is a longer story than Watchmen. So what it does is it takes the essence, it kind of Americanizes it to make it relevant to the way of the world in 2005, 2006, keeps like the biggest moments, but puts its own spin in it. And you can take it apart on like this, that, and the other compared to the book. But it is equally very much its own thing at the same time.
Well,
you know?
it's funny. V for Vendetta gets more and more, but actually it's incredibly relevant now if you really want to get into it. You know, really is. But I think that's a pretty good adaptation too. Actually, I prefer that to the comic because of how it's paced and just, you know, the actors in it I really enjoy.
It's weird. One of the weirdest adaptations because like there's bits of it there's bits of it that are like direct translations, and then there's other bits where it's just the essence. But then there's other bits in it which are neither translations nor have any of the essence in it, and it's just like, what have they done here?
But see,
well, I mean, the Wachowskis are involved. It's gonna be a bit. I don't get it, but sure.
Well,
about
look,
it.
I think it's the last great thing the Wachowskis did before they were like, we're way too famous for this, and we're just going to start making garbage, and that's what they've done since.
Wait, was that before?
I thought Sense8 was pretty good.
I was going to say, was that before or after Speed Racer?
It was before. Speed Racer was the year later. I haven't seen Speed Racer, but
I've heard good things
Is
about
it good?
Speed Racer.
From what I've seen of Speed Racer, it's very good.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I have heard it's almost a direct, recapturing of the anime, so it makes sense. But look, this is the kind of thing when they're adapting comics. Like, I remember when comic book movies would first come out, or the MCU would first come out, I would get kind of hung up on, that isn't in the stuff. But even the MCU, to take this full circle again, a lot of the MCU is like a rehash, a remix, they're all adaptations of stories. Like, Samuel Jackson, like Nick Fury wasn't a black guy. Thanks to the MCU, he is. His character's completely different.
Well, the Ultimates.
The Ultimates were literally a play on that. But what I mean is, his character was remixed and influenced completely by his on-screen portrayal.
No, it's the other way around, because the Ultimate Universe was created in the early 2000s, and they based that version of Nick Fury on Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, and they actually say, who would you want me to play? Yeah, dude, I've read the Ultimates.
Yeah. Well, look, not to get too into the weeds about it, but you hit on a really good point there, because I find the comic book Civil War, much as I love Mark Miller, to be an upside-down crash fire. Yeah. But the Marvel adaptation, which takes the essence of it, but infuses it with the Winter Soldier, with what's going on, with that kind of stuff, that is, in my mind, a much superior story, while still being faithful to the ideas of the book.
There's one fundamental part of it that I would disagree with you on there, which is that I feel like as much as I don't want to give Mark Miller props for anything, I do feel like in that story, he does try to make an effort to go, there are legitimate reasons to be pro-registration or anti-registration, whereas Civil War does a fantastic job of pointing out why Tony Stark is completely and utterly right.
Yeah. You're right.
A bunch of superheroes decided to have a slap fight in a fucking
airport. Yeah. That's a fair point. Like with that's a good point. Yeah, like even though I found myself liking Cap more in Civil War, based on, just whatever, he doesn't have a leg to stand on, and then goes and does this slap fight in the middle of the airport and causes millions and millions of euros worth of damage.
As a giant man stand on a plane.
Yeah. And it's just like, everyone looks bad here. No one looks good except for Thor, who wasn't there. The only person who looks okay is Thor, because he wasn't there. It's like,
Thor. You clearly haven't seen the Thor's holiday shorts. He was not like happy missing that. He was on his squatting in a flat in Australia.
Oh, actually, I have seen this. Yeah, with his mate. Yeah. But yeah, like, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, fair enough. And I suppose Hulk, because Hulk wasn't there either.
Hulk was off in space.
He was off in space, and Captain Marvel, I suppose, as well. But
Hulk ran away after seeing what was happening in Age of Ultron, and was like, "Oh,
yeah, I don't want this."
And Hulk is effectively the incentive for the Sokovia Accords, because he demolished a city, effectively.
Yeah.
Like, nothing good was waiting for him. Like,
he did destroy Harlem in the film 2008.
Talk about.
Okay,
apart from that one moment, yeah.
Actually, it's weird when you watch the Disney movies, when you watch the Marvel movies on Disney, they don't even mention Hulk. It's not on their timeline. It's like hidden away. They're like, no, that's not it. Oh, and I really like that movie, and they're going to start referencing it more because Abomination is coming back with Tim Roth, and then like. Oh
wait, this is news to me. Where is he coming back?
He's coming back in She-Hulk.
I like that. And speaking of which, actually, can we? Because the news broke today.
Yes.
Black Widow is coming to Disney Plus.
One thing,
but not until the.
I just want to put a pin in it for 1 second, because we have hit our time for the radio listeners. So if you're checking us out on the stream, guys, stick around. We're going to keep going. But if you're listening to us on Phoenix 92.5 FM, what are you doing? Go over to nerdtoknowmedia, or join us live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. where we stream. So We'll see you next week here on Phoenix 92.5 FM. For everyone else, we're gonna keep going. All right, sorry, King, go for it.
No, I feel bad for the radio listeners. I've actually got news, and that got.
It's their own fault. It's their own fault. We tell them. We give them warning.
Okay, so they've
download,
confirmed that this is the last time it's getting pushed back, or that's what they've said anyway. So Black Widow, Disney Plus, as well as theaters, if there are theaters, whatever. Check back in 3 months, whatever. So it was supposed to be May. It's now. Come on, Arsenal, help me. July, yes, late July, and Shang-Chi is coming. Then the Marvel film after that, apparently, they're moving around their schedule, is coming out in September, and they're going to have the same deal that Mulan had, where you pay 30 quid for early access or something.
So everyone is stealing it.
Yeah.
That's what that means. Well, no, hold on. Those allegations, I will not have those allegations being said. We only talk about this hypothetically for educational purposes, Kane.
But you do it often.
No, I'm not. We're not promoting anything.
We're not promoting.
We're merely speculating.
We're just doing it for research.
We're of this intellectual property.
At length and in detail.
We're scientists, Kane.
or just do what I'm doing with Raya and just thinking about it every once in a while. I'm like, but I'll wait the 3 months because they've already confirmed Raya's coming out, I think, in June.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've rationalized if I'm not going to pay the 20 quid for the movie that looked very interesting, is an original concept, and is original animation, I don't think I'm going to pay for Black Widow.
Yeah,
you're going to have to film.
Black Widow.
Well,
but
that's the gamble, though. You've got 3 months to not get it spoiled for you.
But seriously, guys, go to the theater because AMC stock needs to rise. Not that I'm giving you financial advice.
I'm not getting the virus for any theater.
Just go
I
to the
say
theater.
that as someone who
I'm
makes
not getting
theater.
the virus for the stock market.
No, hold on. Think of me. Think of me and my stocks. That's what. That's what I'm saying.
Dara, I love you. You're a good friend of mine. I'm not getting the virus.
How dare you? How dare you? I know
friendships are truly being tested.
What's it? Nerdtoknowmedia, Civil War. I know, but
I think you mean civil disagreement.
The AMC Accords.
Oh my god, that's amazing. But no, it's funny, right? Because like on the one day we had the Marvel Disney announcement that they're just going to like dual release, and then Warner Brothers are like, oh no, don't worry, we're still just going to release in the theaters first. It's like that seems backwards. That seems weird, you know. It's more like, what are they doing? Let's do the opposite. Okay, you know. I think that's how Warner Brothers make their decisions. They're like, what's Marvel doing?
Wasn't Wonder Woman on streaming?
Yeah, it was. And then they also said that like Matrix 4 was going to be on streaming, but I think they didn't expect America to cover it, to open up as fast as it did or something like that. So they're like, all right, I guess we're staying open.
Have we talked about the Wonder Woman sequel? Has anyone seen it?
I never watched it.
I never watched it.
Okay.
I never watched it.
I have legitimately acquired it, and we'll watch it soon.
We'll watch it soon.
What's the story with Dune? I know that was supposed to be
December.
I nearly finished the book.
Yeah, December. Theaters. Yeah.
December.
Yes.
Yeah. Can't wait.
I want my 3D glasses.
Oh man, it's gonna be so good.
I want that worm to jump out of the screen at me.
Spider-Man is coming out in December.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
on the slate now as well.
That's on the slate now as well. Yeah.
Have they even made that yet?
With
they're in the process.
They've been teasing it, yeah, because there's that the Eternals as well. I think.
I was gonna say the Eternals was the next one up on the slate after Black Widow. I guess maybe.
When's the Eternals? September? Or is it August?
No, Shang-Chi is and the Ten Rings is now is the next one instead. I don't know where the Eternals is.
Okay. Yeah, look, I was surprised to see that Spider-Man was even on it, but I think they're trying to line it up with the first Spider-Man movie. So, all right, yeah, you look at it.
Here's an interesting one though. Would it go out on Disney Plus if it's a Sony thing? Probably not.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think so.
Because the first two, the Homecoming and Far From Home, they are not up there. They are like the Hulk, completely not on the streaming service.
That's a fair point as well, actually.
They're
yeah.
on Netflix.
They're on Netflix, yeah.
Are they?
Or on Channel 4 as well, if you watch all four, which is the best streaming service.
I love that app. It's the Malcolm in the Middle, like, thank you, WandaVision. Like the Taskmaster,
Undercover Boss.
There's loads, Seinfeld, loads of great stuff on there, and it's free. Sponsor us, Channel 4. If Coors can sponsor you can sponsor us.
Yeah, but like, and for anyone listening in America or that, basically you can get it, just get a VPN and you'd be fine. Actually, I don't even think you need one though. You should just be able to download it because it's not geolocked or anything like that. It's actually more usable. It's actually more user friendly and intuitive than the RTE player, which doesn't work.
That's not hard. I think our basic
it doesn't even work.
HTML website, like Nerd to Know's basic HTML website, is more user friendly than the RTE player.
I think the best way to illustrate this is that there's a small Irish pro wrestling company called Over the Top Wrestling, and their streaming service is not only more stable but more reliable.
Someone was talking about it on Reddit the other day, and they're like, the only way I can get it to work is to put a pie hole in it and block all the ads, but sometimes it crashes the entire browser. I'm like, you shouldn't have to do that.
That's what happened one year with the Eurovision. Yeah, it's like the ads were broken. I didn't even have an ad blocker. I don't mind ads, but like the ad thing was broken, but the ad wouldn't play, so none of the shows would play either.
Oh, RT, can you go 5 minutes without embarrassing yourself? How long is that?
Well, here's the thing, it's also the most expensive streaming service because whatever the TV license is, like 180 or something like that a year. That's a very expensive streaming service. Like that's double what?
And they don't have the Muppets.
They don't have anybody. They do have a lot of Muppets. They're first very expensive Muppets.
I also think you're fancying a career in RT at some point, are you?
Oh no, I couldn't.
It's where the money is.
Yeah.
But Dara, you can fix it. Bring the tape.
That's not a bad idea.
We can rebuild.
It's very hard to get in, and it's incredibly difficult to get out.
No. Look, as I said, although I have enjoyed watching Fair City during the plague. Oh man, it's something else. They've managed to make the show even worse and more stilted. It's like, okay, but they love this whole virus thing there. It's giving them fuel for days.
The show, is it?
Oh, on the show. Oh man, it's like the whole point of the show. Nothing else happens. They're all just talking about it all the time. It's hilarious. Yeah.
I've only ever watched Fair City and I have friends in it.
We were in it. Me and Bryn were in it for ages.
You were hit upon the point I was about to say, which is like if I've known someone who's either written an episode, starring in an episode. I saw a lot of episodes because I studied with Caroline and she was in it for a while, and or especially background extras. Tape it, find my brother and sister, boom. That's your viewership.
Look, for anyone who doesn't know, Fair City is our biggest soap.
RE Standards.
Yeah, RE Standards, yeah. And to put it into context, when I was in it, I played 3 different people in the same episode, and they thought that was fine. I was in every one of the shops, so the hardware store, the Spar, and the restaurant, and they're like, "Oh, you're fine." I'm like, but I look exactly say, "No, just put your hair up and down in your grand, not wear your glasses." I'm like, so what? I'm 3 people.
Just Clark Kent.
Clark Kent. That was it.
Oh,
yeah.
They used to do that on Star Trek: The Next Generation. They put
Ridiculous.
shots together, so you'd see like Riker 3 times sitting at 3 different tables in the same shot, or something like that.
No, the funniest was when you were there and they just do the Ed Wood thing where like something would fall over and they go, "It's fine, time to go to lunch," and you're like, "You're not going to shoot it again, no." That's fine. And they just, oh man, it's gas. You know, I think
the only way it could be more incompetently done is if the entire thing was directed by Harold Zoid.
Oh, that would be amazing. The pie fights in the background.
Yeah. You know what they should actually
it's all
do?
Gone off food in the shop.
But they can have this idea for real, right? And it's grand. Shoot an extra show, you know, like the show Extras. But just shoot it where it's like someone is filming the show happening and the hijinks that happen during it, and that'd be way more interesting than the actual show itself. But no,
well, I mean, I kind of stage just tapping into that
I think it'd be
mentality in some
too.
respects now.
It would be cheaper to make. It'd be very cheap to make. But
just a GoPro and a HDMI and a LAN to a Twitch stream.
And there you go. It's just like, I don't know, but like they're like the WWE. Me and Bryn have a saying where if it's fun or interesting, it's not going to happen. RT, it's fun, interesting, and the high brass don't get paid $100,000. It's not going to happen. So
to give the people on Fair City its credit, though, like I mean, like on any soap opera, the schedule you work to is crazy. Like I knew one of the story editors for a while, and she just described. I'm sorry if I've used this anecdote before, but she just described it as being like writing it was like feeding a monster that's never full.
Yeah.
Like, you just work round the clock, and it'll be like the takes they would use would be, and this isn't Fair City specific, it's just general things, would be like the lighting is best in this shot, but maybe not the acting, or like you say, maybe something falls over. Like, so I applaud the people who work on it, and I'm sorry if the results aren't, everything it was they hoped it would be.
It's amazing. It is amazing when you see them editing it, because they edit it in between shots. So they'll shoot the shot, and then you'll see up on the screen them actually editing it, and you're like, okay, that's pretty impressive that they're able to get it done that way. But then, like, it's like you should pad it out with something, the making of shows, or like the Talking Dead, like Talking City or something like that. You can pad this stuff out and make it run, but no, let's just work them to death. It makes no sense, it's crazy.
2.5 hours of TV a week. It doesn't happen by accident, like,
Well, no, the one thing I am waiting for, and my whole time there, I don't know if you thought this, Bryn, as well, I wanted the bus to show up, because apparently the bus shows up now and then, and it never happened.
Yeah.
I think they should have more scenes on the bus, like some like scumbag comes up and they like try to stab you on the bus or something, or like a junkie on the bus, like real life. They could just do the bus scene, it'd be great.
Now you're sounding like Ed Wood.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's what happens on buses in Dublin.
It's getting disturbingly like Harold Lloyd.
I just, for the life of me, I don't understand
the ledge. Oi!
Just imagine, like, they have like the town junkie, and he's like, "Oh, come here, can I have change?" No. And you get on the bus, and it's there's loads of things you could do.
I don't know if Fair City's target audience would want to see junkies.
And then suddenly Fair City just evolves into a 24/7 vlog channel where you just follow this one man's journey right Dublin. Never ending.
I want the Rock of Ages Fair City, where it's like 20 years in the future and they have to like fix it.
Oh my god.
And all the kind of feuds have died. They've had to team up.
Ireland unlocked.
The post-apocalyptic Fair City where Mecha Haughey ruins.
Maybe they have to team up with the EastEnders and Coronation Street and Home and Away.
Well, Ireland on lockdown for like 30 years. What's left of it? The Fair City crowd have to band together.
They rope in Judge Judy, even though she's retired. Like,
she's retiring this year. Yeah, she's retiring this year.
Yeah, there's news.
Yeah. Shout out, to be fair, like I saw a recent episode of Judge Judy, and I'm like, wow, she looks bad, man. Like, she looks old as hell. You're like, she's old.
Well, I don't watch Judge Judy religiously, but every day I open my news app and I'm like, please don't turn out to be a horrible person. Please, I don't want to lose this and feel guilty about it retroactively.
No, but like,
retire now.
Because here's the thing with with that show, right? The reruns would usually be like from like 2003. So like she's forever like that age, and then when you see her today, you're like, whoa, and you're like, yeah, that was because it was 20 years ago. It's weird. The joys of aging, guys, right? Isn't that fun?
The ravages of age.
But anyway,
Old Man Winter.
Old Man Winter. I swear, like those ads, I don't know. The Simpsons. I don't want to get into a Simpsons rant because that's another thing.
It's what we're here for. It's what the public want.
We'll hold on to that one because it's been renewed again. 2 more seasons.
Hey.
Yay!
It's great that we're doing all the headlines at an hour and a half in.
The dead horse has been flogged yet again.
You know what? Eventually, I just imagine the Simpsons being like the Emperor from 40K, where you have to feed souls to him to keep him alive in his casket.
Disney Plus subscription. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say like the Emperor and Rise of Skywalker hanging off a coat hanger. Like,
oh no, it's even more sad than that.
It's even more sad than that. Like, there's no life in it at all. Like, they're just like, quick. Yeah, we need psychers.
When you see the intro sequence for Simpsons season 39, it's just got IVs hooked into it.
It's not to. Increasingly
I know.
It's starting to really approach the parody it did of like a Star Trek film that like set well in the future called So Very Tired.
So Very Tired.
Can I bring up a scandal around The Simpsons and popping up the last 2 weeks?
Oh, absolutely.
They did a Homer Simpson flashback episode,
okay.
And now teenage Homer is in the 90s, which means that canonically Bart's now older than Homer. Is this something that bothers you at all?
No, because it's a floating
retconning. Like,
no, it's a floating timeline. It's fine. Floating, yeah.
Like, yeah, but like Grandpa was in the World War II. Like,
yeah, but not. Well, see, that's the thing. They haven't brought that up like in a while, so I'd imagine they'll just move it up to Vietnam.
Yeah.
with Hitler.
Well, why not? Mecha Hitler from Wolfenstein. That was the thing, right? Turns
I
out
mean,
it was just a flashback the
I
whole
don't
time.
mind it. I don't mind it too much. But I do think it's, even if you're incredibly forgiving, it's a sign that The Simpsons has kind of hung around a bit long. I would just age them up personally.
They should just age them up. I don't know what they're waiting for. Like, I think they've done everything they possibly can. Like, there's a good channel on YouTube called Simpsons Theory or something like that. And she was doing a whole thing on it, and really it was on Bart's life, and it's like there's nothing left for him to do as a 10-year-old. What is there? Like, he's been a Twitch streamer and everything.
Has he?
Yeah,
I heard that was recent, actually. Yeah, like it's sort of thing where I think that actually, like, as we say, it's beating the dead horse. Just continue. Like, it's kind of it's a persistence that it doesn't seem like it's ever grown. If like Fox were doing a Simpsons revival, a Simpsons Plus, where they just jump at 10 years, Bart's in college, Lisa's at the end of high school, that's immediately something. I think that'll get a lot more people at least to watch at least
one
half
episode.
a season.
Yeah.
One episode.
Yeah. Like,
as opposed to just 35th season of.
Like, there's literally nothing for them to do. Like, there's nowhere for them. They've been everywhere. They've done everything. Like, I don't know if they've done a virus special or not yet. I don't think they have.
Well, they did the episode where Marge goes to jail way back when.
Yeah, but they did that a couple of times. But it's just like, I don't know, man. I'll still watch them, but I agree with Kev. I think aging them up is the way forward. And then if it fails, it fails. You know, call it a day.
End the damn show.
They're not going to do that, though.
Well,
man.
see,
Simpsons
too big to fail.
Exactly,
like,
makes
even
way too much money.
if no one watched it, it would still be renewed based on the mobile games, the merchandise, this, that. It's like, in a weird way, like Rowan Atkinson is like hugely popular in different parts of the world, so they'll keep doing Johnny English films, even though they don't do anything here. Like, you know, as long as people even like the memory of The Simpsons, it will keep going, you know.
But see, here's the thing. If they really wanted to cash it out, right, they could do spin-offs. So you could do your age up on the kids.
Like the spin-off showcase.
Well,
I would watch the Mo and the Love Tester thing.
I would watch the one in New Orleans.
The Chief Wiggum?
Yeah, I'd watch that. What's
Skinny Boy?
Skinny Boy, I watch that.
I'm sure we'll meet again each and every week.
But there is scope for them to do it with some of the characters, you know, that they've. But it requires vision, and I don't think anyone who's working The Simpsons now has a modicum of vision anymore. They're like, what's quick and easy?
I disagree with that, though, because Professor Frink makes you laugh and he makes you think. So
that monkey's gonna pay.
That monkey's gonna pay.
It's a poison chalice, though, because if you are the person, let's say one of us was given control of The Simpsons, and you change it, and people don't like it, you are forever the person who ruined The Simpsons.
At this point,
at this
point, I don't think you. How could you ruin?
I know, but
you're
still the one getting thrown under the bus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that bus has been and gone. Like, it's like the old days when you didn't have the app and you missed the bus.
We know that.
The bus is
don't
gone.
know that.
I just say, oh no, you just have to go back and watch the 10 seasons of the 10 seasons of The Simpsons you were already watching. How terrible for you.
Yeah, like at this point, like, you know, they've also replaced a lot of the voice actors as well. So it now is actually
how's that going? I know you've actually been watching it.
I don't know. I haven't. They've only started. I think the next two ones are going to have them. But what I mean on that is, like, now is a good opportunity to do something. Like, you know who I feel bad for? I feel bad for Marge, or one who voices Marge. She sounds in horrific pain every time she talks. And every time you watch a new episode, you're like, that poor woman, you know, she needs replace her.
Try doing a Marge voice now. It's not easy.
No,
it really hurts your throat.
But I'm just like,
Homer.
I'm just like, why didn't they replace her as well? Because she sounds like she's in awful pain. Or kill her off.
Allow her to change the voice a good bit.
A good bit, yeah, exactly. Like, right, in some way she's in like a car accident and has to talk differently or something. Come on, like, think about it. You know, you get paid enough. But yeah, so we're gonna watch The Simpsons until it ends, guys. Sadly, so enjoy.
I don't like that That's all you.
But yeah, that's everything we have this week, guys. A longer show. It's been a while since we've done a show, so I enjoyed this. This was fun.
Yeah. It was nice to have news and
Yeah,
to
it was-
avoid it.
was
But
this-
it's like blast from the past.
It's the best in the past. I've done better though. I didn't cut over you guys as much as I normally do.
It's these group therapy sessions are going well.
They are indeed. And thanks to Monster Mo in the chat for dropping in as well. That we do appreciate it, guys. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, like, give us money as well. That helps too. And yeah, we'll be back next week as normal. There's a new show. A couple of new shows actually dropped on this. So we have a new show on the network, a new wrestling show from the Turnbuckle. I launched the show, the Metal Dialogues. No idea when the new one is coming out. Because I said that. Keen, I never got around to posting our our Game Corner show, so that's gonna go up this weekend.
Ooh, the continuity on this is gonna be crazy.
That's gonna go up this weekend. And yeah, Kev, have you got anything coming up? When's the next anime crash course?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
So it doesn't have a good answer.
No. No, just like scheduling has been just difficult. What with the recent move and still figuring out everything. So yeah, Anime Crash Course still on a temporary hiatus. I will get back to you about that later. But as always, you can find me on my Twitter at KevTalican94, where I have now been posting my screenshots of me doing we're off radio hot girl shit in Final Fantasy 14, which is my new crack cocaine. And also you can find me on twitch.tv/Conorayne, CONORAYNE, where I am running a D&D game for my very good friends, and we're having a very fun time.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Awesome. That seems fun. And Bryn, dare I ask about Takeover?
Yeah, no.
It's not.
That's brutally honest.
Anyone got anything else to plug before we wrap it up?
Yes, I will. I am, as we have discussed, reviewing the Falcon and Winter Soldier for Geek Ireland, but equally, I'm working with ADHD Ireland. I mentioned this in my last show that hasn't gone out. This might be the first one. Basically, ADHD Ireland are offering lots of free classes and courses on their website. All you have to do is sign up, and it's kind of designed to, like what we're doing here, kind of combat feeling isolated in these weird times. I'm doing drama, but there's lots and lots of different things. The drama is your thing. So if you'd like to get to know people or learn a new skill, go to ADHD Ireland, and all the events are there, and hoping to see you there.
Awesome. Yeah, again, the continuity is a bit fucked because that's me. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
Don't you dare apologize. You're keeping the rest of us looking good.
Yeah, but I only realized, I'm like, oh god, that was 2 weeks ago. I should have got that out. I was like trying to figure everything out. Again, college is coming to an end for me soon, so thank God I get some of my life back. And yeah, if you guys are new, again, please subscribe, comment. That does help us an awful lot. And we'll be back next week around the same time for nerdtoknowmedia.com. And yeah, thanks very much, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.